Story 1. My dad, who passed away while working abroad, had a girlfriend. I knew because I flew out after he passed away to sort his belongings. I did not tell anyone. Story 2. I keep it to myself, but my brother married a woman who is almost exactly like our mother. She always has to be right, insists on having her way, is manipulative, narcissistic, and mean. She thinks very highly of herself even though she is overweight. It is amazing how he has always had such bad taste in women. The women he dated who were actually nice and stable never lasted long. Story 3. The reason I will not talk to her any longer is because of the way she abandoned her daughter, who was on her deathbed. It's just too hard for me to see her like that. Is a tough pill to swallow. The worst part is her daughter telling me, if it's hard for her, how does she think I feel? But you know, Mom, if it's not happening to her, it's not happening. That was eye-opening. She posts all over Facebook about how distraught she is about losing her daughter, but never once went to hold her hand. The world is supposed to feel sorry for her, not her grandchildren who lost their mother, not her son-in-law who lost his wife. It makes me sick when I think about it. She has pestered me and my entire family, wanting to know why I have gone no contact. I can't bring myself to tell her. She would not understand anyway. She is too self-absorbed to see the feelings of others. Story 4. My father does not feel like a father. He is more like a brother who was always away at college, someone you rarely saw and had no real connection with. Story 5. My dad probably has many half-brothers. My grandfather was not only unfaithful but consistently so. My grandmother knew this, and he was also violently abusive. However, I would never tell my dad. My grandmother told me one day, and although I am unsure if my dad knows, I would never tell him because I know he hates unfaithfulness. Story 6. My house was the hangout house when my children were in high school. They told me a lot. I know their parents. I only spoke to one parent because it was something very serious, but I keep the rest a secret. Story 7. I hated that I was forced to look after my siblings. I also cared for my late mother. I could have done so much with my life, but I was not allowed to. Story 8. The real reason I moved out of my father's house in high school was because one of my brother's friends repeatedly assaulted me over the course of an afternoon in my bedroom, and it stopped feeling safe there. My brother ended the friendship and immediately threw him out when he walked in on it. We both never told my father or stepmother. I moved in with my mother after a couple of years and told my father it would be easier to get to and from my zero-period class and after-school commitments. It has been over 15 years, and they still do not know. Story 9. Talking with parents who praise their child as very cute or very smart can be challenging, especially when someone's child is not the most attractive or intelligent. Also, never talk about their child's behavior, even if it is very bad. Story 10. Something incredibly horrific happened to me, and I thought the news of it might actually give one of my older relatives a heart attack or another severe ailment. As far as I am aware, she passed away not many years later without anyone ever telling her what happened. Story 11. My family actually hated my former spouse. Even after all these years and everything she put me through, I would not want to tell her that. Story 12. My dad died of a heart attack. My mom found him face down at the top of the stairs on the main landing. He had gone up to bed feeling unwell. It looked like he had gone to the bathroom and then collapsed on his way back to bed. My mom told us that the emergency phone operator was begging her to start cardiopulmonary resuscitation, but my mom said, "He's dead." She told us that she had gone upstairs to take him some medicine when she found him. Over a year later, I told the story at a first aid course while we were discussing heart attacks. I said my dad was stone cold dead, as my mom had found him later in the evening but was being asked to perform cardiopulmonary resuscitation. I told my mom later that night about me telling the story. She turned to me and said, "No, he wasn't cold. The toilet was still filling up, so he'd only just used it." Couldn't believe it. I've never told my brothers. I didn't say anything to her because she was probably in shock at the time. I wish I never knew. He might have had a chance. I can get to their house in 3 minutes. I only found out later when she called my older brother to ask him to tell me and my younger brother that Dad had passed. I headed there straight away. There were police and paramedics in the house. After they left, my dad remained there until a private ambulance arrived to collect him about an hour later. By this time, he was on his back. Blood had pooled on one side of his face where he had been face down originally. He wasn't warm, which suggests he had been there for hours. Story 13. My most recent ex, with whom we are trying to support each other platonically. Long story short, he made a really poor decision that significantly damaged my self-worth, and it became the reason I left the relationship. I already told him in great detail how much it hurt and why it was wrong. One thing I omitted was that my grades also dropped, and one of my professors, who is also a major mentor figure, most likely dislikes him because of what he did. He has already apologized and taken full responsibility. He has done enough of beating himself up. My goal now is to help him realize he is still worthy of care. Telling him the above will not help anyone. Story 14. I know Fox News is unreliable, but it is not my place as a caregiver to dictate what my clients watch. Story 15. One of my oldest friends is extremely intelligent in one specific area related to his job, but is completely uninformed in almost every other aspect of life. He knows very little about world events, politics, economics, popular culture, social cues, and similar topics. He is kind and good-natured, but spending time with him is like spending time with a puppy. Fun, but do not expect much stimulation or depth in conversation. Like a puppy, he can be very taxing when you are not in the mood to be playful or when you want to have a serious discussion. I believe telling him this would only hurt his feelings and would not make him any smarter. Story 16. I sit next to this guy in class, and his breath is terrible. I don't even have an adjective for how bad it is. I hold my breath each time he pronounces a word with the letter H in it. It's like a wave of a toxic odor that irritates the nostrils. I kept it to myself for around 3 or 4 months because he is genuinely a good person, childish but my friend, and I care about him. One day, I couldn't take it anymore. I told him gently, saying I did not want to be rude, and explained the situation. He said it is the toothpaste that makes his breath smell like that. But there is plaque on his teeth and it is visible. I am convinced he has given up on his oral hygiene, and it is unpleasant to sit next to him. Story 17. I miss my ex. Many difficult things happened, and hurtful words were exchanged, but I miss her nonetheless. I want to reach out to her, but my current partner will not let me. I do not necessarily blame him for that, but the fact that I miss her in any way makes him angry. Story 18. Proverbs 15 verse 24. The way of life is above to the wise, that he may depart from hell beneath. Basically, this says we are already in hell, depart. One word might just change the entire Catholic religion. So, maybe your evil loved ones are just looping again and balancing out their karma until they earn big J status. But of course, Catholics will still believe in the fiery hell for eternity. This is from your book. Don't get defensive when I point it out. Sorry. I did this with one person and they reacted strongly. Now it's out there. Edit. I take the word depart as if we are already in hell. Life with amnesia is hell. Story 19. I would say I keep truths to myself, but I would be lying if I did. I tell people the truth if I see potential for them to grow. I do this knowing they may push me away or even burn bridges, but if they grow, that is all that matters at the end of the day. In life, there is the sword, the gem, and the mirror. The sword represents power, the gem represents wealth, and the mirror represents self-reflection and the purest of truths. Of the three, the mirror is the most painful yet the most rewarding in the long run. If you wield this mirror, you can acquire generational power and wealth through the self-discipline and network you build. Story 20. My aunt was abusing my mother while living with her as her caretaker. I do not tell my cousins because it would break their hearts if they believed what their mother did. Story 21. I also had to take care of my siblings. I was the oldest. There was a newborn I was forced to watch. My childhood was taken away from me. I also took care of my mother when she had stomach cancer, though I did not mind because she was a fantastic mom. Story 22. Details about my childhood abuse and my mental health issues have been shared with my spouse and adult child. They both are aware but do not want to know the details, which I understand, so I see a therapist. It would be fantastic and a relief for me to share, but I can tell they do not want to hear it. Therefore, I cannot reveal much about the first 20 years of my life to those closest to me. Story 23. I did not tell my ex that her asking me to wear contact lenses multiple times hurt me. It made me feel like she did not respect the fact that I have anxiety. I flinch too much to use contact lenses and I struggle with eye drops. I have always respected her anxiety. It also made me self-conscious about my appearance. Despite the fact that a woman at the hotel spoke to me in a seductive tone at the bar while I was wearing those glasses, I did not want to upset her. Story 24. I have not told my mother many of the things I have thought about and experienced. She does not need to worry about me. I feel like I am in a safe, manageable place now where I am not much of a danger to myself. Not in any serious or permanent way, although I do not always make the healthiest choices. I have struggled with eating disorders and self-harm, and she does not need to know. I do not want to cause her that pain. Story 25. A friend I have known for 3 years has become mildly irritating. Whenever I say something, she always takes it literally or purposely answers a rhetorical question. It is very infuriating to me. I love you, but if you don't stop, I am going to actually call you a name. Story 26. A friend of mine has really bad breath. I wanted to tell her because it made me not want to hang out with her, but I do not want to hurt her feelings. Story 27. My friend's boyfriend is not good for her, and I think she is being used for money. I know I need to tell her. I am just still working up the courage. It is hard when she is so in love with him. She is already planning their wedding and talking about having his children. She is in grade 10, by the way. Story 28. My son married a woman who is becoming like her mother. When he told me he was going to propose, I asked if he was sure. He got offended, but after 10 years, I think he is not so angry with me. Story 29. My friend's mom passed away in 2016. His dad remarried in 2017 to a widow who also had an adult child. It is natural for people to seek companionship. Many people approached me and asked if he had previously had an affair, how could he remarry, and other unreasonable things. My friend does so much for all these people. I cannot find the courage to tell him about this. I do not want to influence their opinion of him, but at the same time, I understand their thought process. Story 30. Unfortunately, I have a lot of people making unkind comments about my boyfriend's appearance. Of course, I don't tell him, especially since he always wants to show me off to others and says things like, I don't know how a girl like you wanted to be with me. But it is hurtful when people say those things directly to me. Why do they feel the need to be so rude? Story 31. I found out last year that my German grandfather's story of getting wounded while fighting in Finland during World War II, going out of his way to find a doctor who would certify he was able to go back to the front because the alternative might have been becoming a guard at a concentration camp, then getting captured in Ukraine and spending several years as a Soviet prisoner of war was very far from the truth. The injury part was probably true, but he was a member of the Schutzstaffel and spent close to a year stationed in Auschwitz. He then spent a few years in a Polish prison. He died in 2013, and my father was very close to him. I don't know if he knows the truth, but I haven't told anyone in my family because I think my dad deserves not to have the memory of his father tarnished like that. I don't see what good it would do. Story 32. Both my father and my mother's divorce was a long time coming and well-deserved for both, but not for me. Story 33. I have practiced martial arts all my life, starting as a young child. I made a good friend when I was about 7 in class, and we are still friends today in our 30s. The owner and head instructor did not believe in unnecessary embellishments. In his 4 decades of running the school, he had awarded only about 20 black belts. We both earned our black belts in college, and I taught the children's class for almost 10 years. One day, the owner revealed to me that my friend was his one regret and that he wished he had never given her a black belt. This devastated her, as it was a significant part of our lives and a major achievement. Story 34. The boy I have been taking care of since he was 8, when his parents were murdered, has had his heart set on this woman. This woman said she would wait for him if he gave up his nightly activities, but it turns out she lied and wanted to marry another man. She left a letter telling him. I read it but burned it because some people deserve better than the truth. Story 35. Being sexually abused as a child by an uncle. My immediate family and friends know, but I do not want his children to feel stigmatized because of the abuse, so I am careful that they do not know. Story 36. I will never keep my full trust in them. It stings and takes time to recover. There is too much evil lurking in this world, and it is difficult to give so much love. I understand that love is sacrifice, but I must be deliberate about whom I give it to. Myself is my priority over everybody else. I will just keep enough respect for myself. Story 37. After my father passed away, I found condoms in his car. I never told my mother. I believe she knew but did not want to confirm her suspicions. Story 38. The elderly neighbor's cat was not adopted by someone else because he was very friendly and affectionate. An owl took him from our front lawn at 4 a.m. We heard the owls, but by the time we went outside, there was nothing left except fur and a couple of feathers. Story 39. A miscarriage. I didn't find out for certain that I was pregnant until days before losing the baby. I figured it wouldn't help to tell the father, as we weren't together and it is no longer relevant because it is in the past. But I still beat myself up about it. Story 40. I'd forgive her if she came to tell me the truth, for the most part. But the damage is already done, and she has stated that she'd rather keep me in the past. Such is life. Not much can be done in general. I'll keep moving forward day by day and somehow find peace through all of this despite everything. I still miss simply chatting. Not even anything special, just talking and cracking jokes. I don't know if I will ever truly get over her, considering she was an unforgettable experience and person in general. I've made my share of mistakes, but they were not wasted lessons. I did the best I could. I'll always miss you, dear friend. Story 41. My adoptive uncle is probably right about his stepmother. She likely contributed to Grandpa's death because she brought him home instead of leaving him in a healthcare facility, and did not follow the doctor's orders. I am not saying he would still be alive today, but he could probably have made his 85th birthday. I would never tell her this because it would hurt her deeply, but it is the truth. Story 42. I have no idea what I am doing any day of my life. I run on anxiety, depression, and rage mixed with schizophrenia, and I feel mentally exhausted, like a pizza left in the oven for 100 days. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.